All right, hopefully you had an opportunity to practice simple random samples on Khan Academy. If you are still struggling with this, I'm going to go ahead and do an example problem for you. If you're not struggling, you can fast forward this part of the video. Okay, so Willie runs a small company with 10 employees, and he's going to pick 3 employees to go on a business trip. So he numbers them from 0 to 9 and uses a random digit table provided to select the sample. So which employees are going to go is the question. Well, before I even get started, I can automatically eliminate answer choice C. And the reason I can do this is because there are 4 numbers in the sample, but Willie's only taking 3. I can also eliminate D because these numbers are also outside of the sample. I'm numbering each employee with the digits 0 to 9. So my answer choices are A or B. And at this time, what I'm going to do is use my table. So the first employee that goes on the business trip is number 8. The second employee is number 5. Well, employee in 5 can't go twice, so employee number 7 would be the third person that's going on a business trip. So this is a great method. A simple random sample is a great method if you only have like 10 employees in your company. But what if you wanted to take 3 employees from Fulton High School or from the hospital across the street? There's so many employees that this might not be the best sampling method. So today we're going to learn other sampling methods for larger groups of people. Obviously, this isn't a very good random number generator if all I get is 9. All right, moving on. So a stratified random sample is a way to basically take large population, spread out over a large area, and take different types of groups within the population to have equal representation. So the first thing you would do is start by classifying the population into groups of similar individuals. So in this case, we could take the United States, which has a huge population, but you could say that most of the people that are born and raised in Texas are pretty similar. You could say most of the people born and raised in Wisconsin are going to have similar characteristics. One of them being the way we say bag. Everybody always makes fun of me for the way I say bag. So we've taken the entire population and split them up into strata, being each of the states. And then what we could do is do a separate SRS for each of the strata. So I could do an SRS for whatever I was looking for from people in Texas, so on and so forth. And then you would combine that to make your sample. So that would be like if Mr. Spies were to select 4 students from Fulton High School. But let's say he wanted to be more specific and he wanted 1 freshman, 1 sophomore, 1 junior, and 1 senior. Well, then we would take the entire school and divide them into strata of freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior. Then he would do an SRS for the freshmen to select 1, an SRS for the sophomore, select 1, so on and so forth, to get his 4 students. Otherwise, he could end up with 4 seniors. He could end up with 4 freshmen. Okay, another company that uses this is ASCAP, which they're actually a bunch of composers, and what they do is they collect royalties from radio stations. So the music users, airlines, bars, internet, whatever, they pay money to ASCAP, and in return, ASCAP gives them royalties to different songs. Then ASCAP, you can see, makes several stratified groups, the composers by their type or genre of music, and then determines, based on how much money is coming in, they actually determine how much money each of these people get based on the royalties they get. There are actually 432 strata that this company uses to determine who gets the money, how to allocate the funds that they get. So that's how the radio station works, and that's how people get paid for the music that they produce. Okay. Another example is called a cluster sampling. And so this is basically when you take the population of interest and divide it into non-overlapping subgroups. So that's like if I took the freshman class, or the senior class, let's do the senior class, and so we have all seniors, they're all part of the same group, but we're going to divide them into homerooms and say there's 20 students in each homeroom. In this case, I'm not going to select one student from each homeroom. I'm going to select the entire homeroom and survey that. So if Mr. Spies would like to select 40 seniors to discuss their experience at Fulton High School, all he would have to do is select 2 homerooms randomly from the 10 senior homerooms. And then he would survey the entire class of 20. So in a cluster, the subgroups. So here we're going to look at another example where we can see all 3. So strata, cluster, or a simple random sample is the question. So we've got the student council wants to conduct a survey during the first 5 minutes of an all-school assembly. And they're going to use this assembly room for it. They're going to select, there are 800 students present at the assembly, and they're seated as indicated in this table right here. 9th graders being in section 601 to 800. 11th graders are 201 to 400. 10th graders are in seats 401 to 600. And 1 to 200 are the seniors. So I can see here that this would be 12th graders. And from 761 to 790, this would be 9th graders. This is also 9th graders. And this is also 12th graders. So in between, we're going to see that the 11th graders are going to sit directly behind the 12th graders. Somewhere in between here are the 11th graders, and then behind them are the 10th graders. And then the last couple of rows of seats are where the 9th graders are sitting. And so if I wanted to complete a survey, how would I do this? Well, first of all, a simple random sample would mean that I would have to look at the entire group of 800, and I would have to get my table out and look for 3-digit numbers, and if I found 001, then this person would be selected to take the survey. If I found 800, then this person here would be selected to take the survey, and so on and so forth. So you have to go through the table until you had all 80 students selected. Or you could use your calculator, and you could put in math, select PRB, go to 5, and then put in 1 to 800, and keep hitting enter 80 times until you got those 80 numbers selected. All right, another way to do it would be to use a stratified random sample. And so in this case, I know that this right here, these are all 9th graders. These are all the 10th graders. These are all the 11th graders in these seats, and these are all the 12th graders in these seats. So they're all similar. And I could just say, well, I need 80 students to complete the survey, so I'm going to choose 20 from this section. I'm going to do a simple random sample of 20 in this section, in this section, and in this section. So when I did it, I would do, for the 9th grade section, I would do math, PRB, 5, and I would do from 601 to 800. And I would hit enter 20 times. Those would be the 20 people that I select from 9th grade. If I did, this is a number 5, by the way. If I did the same thing for 10th graders, I would enter 401 to 600 20 times until I selected all my 9th graders. Now, if I wanted to do it by a cluster sample, that would be a little bit different. For a cluster sample, I would say, for example, I'm going to look at this set of rows. I'm going to look at the rows from here and here, let's say. And I'm just going to interview everyone in that. I'm going to interview all 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. That's one set of 20. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sample this group right here of 20 people. And I'm just going to give everybody in these seats a survey. And they're going to be part of my survey. So on and so forth. That's how you would do a cluster sample, because within this, you'll see that I have some 12th graders and some freshmen in that section. So you would choose probably a section where you had a little bit of everybody. Some freshmen, some sophomores, some juniors, and some seniors. And that would give you your cluster sample. Okay. Let's look at some example problems. It says the police set up checkpoints at randomly selected road locations. And then they inspect every driver. So if they're going to inspect every driver, that should indicate to you that it's going to be a cluster random sample. If they said that they were going to set up checkpoints at randomly selected road locations and choose every 5th car, then that would be more of a stratified random sample, because you have to do a simple random sample within the group, essentially. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video, and you may try sampling methods on Khan Academy. I'm expecting everybody to get 100. So at this point, what should you have done? You should have sample versus population. You should have valid claims. SRS, simple random sample. And now you're going to finish sampling methods as well. And then at the end of class, we should be able to do a Quizlet. Quizlet Live. All right, good luck. Raise your hand if you have a question. You get to work.